For those of us that get to travel, we are fortunate enough to dip our toes into different worlds within our own. When we first thought of visiting Jordan, we imagined endless deserts stretching beyond the horizon, the stillness of the Dead Sea where the earth slips below the turquoise beaches, and somewhere hidden in the mountains, the elusive rose-red city of Petra, waiting quietly between myth and memory. Hidden beyond the desert mountains of Jordan lies a city that was once never meant to be found at all. A narrow canyon, walls rising hundreds of feet above you, footsteps echoing where caravans once passed carrying silk, spices, and stories from different worlds. What was truly evident in the days that we spent in this magnificent site was that Petra isn't just a city carved out of stone. It's basically time frozen in motion. You don't just arrive at Petra, you're supposed to approach it slowly. And that's where we actually fucked up. Visiting Petra was definitely one of our travel highlights across any country that we visited, and we've seen a few of the wonders of the world, and I think this is one for the books for sure. Just the vastness of the site alone, beyond the famous Treasury that people see in pictures, is an experience of its own. It's basically like an outdoor museum, which you get to kind of walk through and relive the journey of the people who actually passed those canyons like thousands of years ago. So in our last video, we actually recapped the 3 nights that we spent at Wadi Desert, another experience that is unforgettable. And one of those things that we actually wanted to do for many years, finally got to do that and string it together with this amazing journey. We were supposed to leave Wadi around 9 a.m. in the morning so that we can basically head down to Petra, which is about an hour-and-a-half journey from the desert with no traffic, obviously, which in Jordan, you basically don't find any traffic on the roads outside of the major cities, of course. You have to drive slow when you're driving through this beautiful country because you get to see these amazing landscapes that you just cannot stop photographing for some reason. When we were planning our trip to Jordan, we were thinking of either doing the Dead Sea and the Red Sea, or we do the Wadi Desert experience, spend 3 nights there and take it all in, and then spend maybe 1 night in Petra because it's just basically that one site that you have to visit. By the time that we reached Petra, it was already like about 1:30 to 2 p.m. Thought of skipping checking into the hotel. Let's just head straight to the site and take it in before the sun goes down. We're hoping that since we went in a shoulder season, there won't be a lot of people. Absolutely incorrect. You're supposed to start at the visitor center, and there's a parking lot right across the visitor center. So we went to the parking lot. This parking lot attendant basically came to us and he's like, hey, what are you guys planning to do? We're like, we're heading down to the site and hopefully get to go take some pictures. And he's like, the site closes at 5 p.m. and it's already like 2. Once you enter the site, you basically want to cover the whole thing. And the site that you want to visit is somewhere in the middle of the entire walk. So you're going to spend at least 2.5 to 4 hours going through the site and then another 2.5 hours back. And he kind of panicked us a little bit at that point in time, of course, with some semi-false truths. So we're like, all right, what should we do? He's like, how about you start at the back of this entire site and then make your way down? In which case you get to see everything and you only get to do that journey once. We're like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. All right, we'll head down to our car, just point us to the direction. He's like, you can't drive there because it is a heritage site. And so you need somebody official to drive you there. And, you know, we have badges or credentials, so we'll take you there. You know, we could have just gone to the visitor center and asked somebody across a desk rather than somebody in a fucking parking lot. So we basically go to his car. He takes us to the back door of Petra, which is basically a ticketing booth and of course a bunch of tourist hacking tour guides that are just flocked around that particular gate. The whole thing is a little bit of a trap. If you're planning to visit more than 2 sites, definitely go ahead and buy this Jordan pass because number one, it makes it much easier to get into certain places, and secondly, you don't have to pay an entry fee in a bunch of these places. So it's about 70 Jordanian dollars per pass per person, but then 1 Jordanian dollars is 2 Canadian dollars. So for this pass, it's like 140 Canadian dollars per person. Definitely get that way in advance because it's much cheaper than paying per site. So at this point, we're at the ticketing station and we get approached by 5 or 6 different tour guides, and the guy in the counter himself was like, hey, if you're truly wanting to go explore the city, you can absolutely do it by foot, but it is a little bit of a convoluted path from this gate to go all the way down there. So it's better to hire a guide. Plus you get to learn more things. So, you know, at this point, rationality had beaten me and I was already kind of frustrated. So I'm like, let's just go with a guide. So the guy we got paired with is this hidden gem who truly was here dressed up for the occasion. The guy was wearing jeans and a freaking leather jacket with bandana and shit, like rock star stuff. Gave us way more information than I was ready to accept. We start our journey off at this city called Little Petra. Look at some of the monuments that have been carved in stone, and you're already like just fascinated by the architecture. Obviously, we're talking about something that was built like 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. This part was really beautiful because you get to see some of these caves that still have touches from when it was actually created. Like this one ceiling was actually painted with organic colors that still exist there, 2,000 years exposed to all the debris and the winds and whatnot. And so the first journey is to go from Little Petra to this place called the Monastery, this beautiful, amazing location within the site. And that was our second favorite to the main Treasury location. In order to get to the monastery, there is a hike, which is about a 2-hour hike if you are to do it on foot. So then again, gotta pay for something else. So now we had to pay for a 4x4 car ride to go to the monastery's hike trail. And once you get to that trail, it's about a half-an-hour hike to the monastery where you actually go through this winding mountainside. It's one of those hikes that if I wasn't pissed off at whatever had happened to us already till this point, and again, I was still anxious of whether or not we're going to be able to hit the Treasury location without the risk of losing sunlight. Even though I did take in the hike as much as I could, reflecting back at it, it was actually a beautiful trail. We had a couple of spots where we got to take some amazing photos. The landscape was just immense, and we got to see some temples that were built on top of like ledges and mountains from far away, heard some beautiful stories from this guy. 35-40 minutes into it, you see the reveal of this site from the side of the mountain, and it's just magical when you see it that way. There's so many curves and there's so many bends that whenever you come across a particular section, it kind of reveals itself really beautifully, and that's not something that you get to see that often. Now, of course, for people who don't want to hike the 35 or 40 minutes, you can rent donkeys at the bottom of the site, take you through the trail much quicker, and you probably get to the monastery in maybe 15 to 20 minutes rather than 40. When we reached the monastery, there weren't a lot of people there. So the rationale was that maybe people are making their way through the canyons, and sometimes people don't even reach the monastery because it is about a 4-hour hike. So they usually kind of bail out much quicker. You actually have to climb almost 800 steps from the base up to the monastery. So a lot of people don't really do this, especially elderly people. So we took a bunch of pictures. There's a couple of these shacks where we actually went in and had a cup of tea before we headed down to walk through these artisan shops, which are right next to this gorge, this entire canyon that's in front of you. And that landscape is just so brilliant that you just have to stand there and just take it in. And we spent some time there and then started making our way down through the immense staircase, which again, when you're looking at that staircase and when you're actually taking it in, building that thing back in the day must have been like a mission and a half, because you're cutting through the rock and making these steps that are ascending into like a mountain. The scale of it is like what throws you off truly. So then we reached this area which is basically called the theater. And it was supposed to be a Roman theater back in the day where you have these steps where people used to sit to enjoy theater or plays or fucking people cutting each other's throats or some shit. I don't know, like there's probably gladiator fights whenever you see an arena like this. That's what I would love to imagine. You know, every kilometer that we passed, I'm like, man, like this would have been a nationwide project at one point. And it is a site that is in ruins at this point compared to the glory that it must have been back in the day. But you can't escape the thought of what effort was put into this and over how many years, because you know, it's not just like a project that started and ended at once. It definitely went through iterations. I'm sure it went through a lot of touch-ups over the years with different cultures influencing it. But what we heard about Petra was that this city was somewhat of a lost city, that even the people of the tribes that were around the city of Petra kept secret from the outside world, because at some point it was considered sacred and they didn't really want that to be revealed. And eventually it was discovered by this Swiss explorer in the early 1800s who masqueraded as an Arabic traveler and gained access to that city, took the evidence back to the Western world, and the rest is literally history. So I think the rest of the site was pretty much the same in a way. The crowd is dispersing at this point because I think we're at about 6:30 p.m. So by the time that we actually reached the Treasury, voila, we were disappointed. When you see something at the start, like the monastery, that reveal from the side and you're just looking at it for the first time, it kind of blows you away. But when you're seeing the same thing and like similar things for a few hours, give or take, it doesn't overwhelm you the same way that it would have if that was the first thing that you saw. And typically when you start your journey from the visitor center, then you see that site for the first time, it kind of reveals itself like in an immense manner. And so when we actually see it from the side, it's completely underwhelming because you can see it from a mile away and you're just walking towards it and you're like, fuck. We still took advantage of the fact that the site was completely empty at this point. There were like maybe a handful of people. And so we got some really good photos. So what we ended up doing was we kind of stuck around and then we headed back, thought of maybe doing this early morning tomorrow, because it was supposed to be our flight back the next day at about 3 to 4 p.m. And the journey from Petra all the way to Amman was about 2 to 3 hours. So we kind of calculated it and we're like, okay, you know what? We don't have to do the whole site again, which is a 4-hour hike. And we have the Jordan Pass. So might as well come back the next day and simply go up to the Treasury, take some photos and make our way back. Just experience it again for the first time the way it's supposed to. And weren't really sure if that would really result in anything substantially different, but we were wrong. When you're going early in the morning, there's hardly any people there. Again, it was similar to the night before because we visited that area at the very tail end of the site being closed. So obviously there's not a lot of people. In the morning, it's even better because you have the sun actually coming through the mountains. And when it's hitting the site at a very specific time, like you actually see it glow. And we were lucky enough to see it at exactly that point. And so that was the redemption that we were looking for. And I'm really glad that we pivoted to that particular idea of doing it that way. We got some amazing shots. We get to keep those memories with us. Then there's these 2 camels that are perpetually just sitting in front of the Treasury because we see them in every single photo. You know, if you look at photos and videos of other people too, they're always sitting there with this guide and they charge money to basically take photos with the camels, I believe. Fortunately, when we reached there, we didn't see anybody around them. So we took some shots like very close to them. And it was actually a really cool accessory to the backdrop, just seeing those 2 guys just chilling there and minding their business, staying very calm and still. After that, we kind of just hung around the site for another hour and then made our way back and said goodbye to Jordan. This was a beautiful country, and I think it's one of those countries that I would definitely want to go back, maybe take my mom there at some point in time because she loves these kind of things. And the desert experience that we had was just definitely something that we would want to do again in our lives. And hopefully praying that people in Jordan stay safe. Obviously, the region is going through a little bit of turmoil, and so far Jordan has been a safe zone and people have been unbothered by a lot of this stuff, and hopefully it stays that way because it is a beautiful country and it'll be a shame to see this not be the same. Yeah, I hope you guys also plan to go there once. I would definitely recommend it to be part of your bucket list items of countries to visit. And if you ever do, hopefully this video and the other one helps you plan a little bit. And with that, please follow, like, and subscribe. And do follow us on Instagram too. We post a lot of our photos there, and it'll be awesome to see some love. Have a good one, guys. Peace.